You ever have one of those moments? A gut feeling that turns out to be spot on? A flash of insight that just pops into your head from, well, from nowhere? For literally centuries, we've chalked these things up to everything from divine messages to some kind of secret psychic power. But what if the real explanation is actually way more fascinating? What if it's hiding deep inside the wiring of our own brains? Today, we're going to dive into the neurology behind these extraordinary experiences and see if we can reframe them, moving away from magic and toward mechanism.
Yeah, these are the kinds of stories we all hear about, or maybe have even experienced ourselves. They feel so profound, right? Almost like you're seeing the future. These are those moments where our intuition just seems to be playing on a completely different level than our conscious mind, giving us a little peek at something we feel like we just shouldn't know. So, the big question is, where is that information really coming from?
And that right there is the heart of what we're exploring today. Are we really talking about a sixth sense, something that just breaks all the known laws of science? Or could these experiences be the product of our brain's own incredible and usually hidden computational power, like a biological supercomputer running an algorithm we're not even aware of?
So to even start to unpack that, we have to get one thing straight. What you and I perceive as reality isn't, well, it isn't a direct recording of the world. Nope. It's more like a massive construction project, and our brain is the master architect.
That's right. Your brain isn't a camera. It's a storyteller. Everything you see, hear, and feel gets filtered through your unique memories, your beliefs, your mood right now. Your brain is constantly making bets, filling in the gaps to create a coherent story. And what that means is that two people can witness the exact same event and walk away with two totally different realities. Now, what's really interesting is what happens when that construction process gets altered. It turns out, certain neurological conditions can give us this incredible, unique window into the hidden potential of the human brain. They show us what's possible when the normal rules of brain function get bent a little, and sometimes the results are absolutely extraordinary.
Okay, so one of the key things we see in epilepsy is a state called hypersynchrony. Now, think of your brain as this huge, amazing symphony orchestra. Usually, all the different sections, the strings, the woodwinds, the brass, are all playing complex, beautiful, harmonious patterns. But imagine if, all of a sudden, every single musician in that orchestra started playing the exact same note at the exact same time at full blast. That's hypersynchrony. All that beautiful complexity is just gone, replaced by this one overwhelming, synchronized signal that completely changes the brain's internal reality.
For centuries, people actually called this the sacred disease. Those with epilepsy were sometimes thought to be prophets, and you can kind of see why. The auras that can happen right before a seizure, which are driven by this hypersynchrony, can create these incredibly profound internal states, like that overwhelming feeling of déjà vu, where a new place feels intensely familiar, or the opposite, jamais vu, where a place you know perfectly well suddenly feels completely alien. It can even create vivid, complex visions. It's just a raw demonstration of the brain's power to build its own world from the inside out. All right, now let's pivot to a totally different neurological profile. A key cognitive trait that's often associated with autism is a really strong drive to systemize. This is this deep, innate desire to analyze things, to understand the hidden rules and patterns, to figure out how a system works. Whether that system is a car engine, a computer program, or even the incredibly complex and often unspoken system of human social interaction. And this idea reframes everything, because what might look like a psychic intuitive leap could actually be something else entirely. It could be the output of this highly efficient, high-speed predictive algorithm that's running subconsciously, processing thousands of tiny details, micro-expressions, tiny shifts in voice, environmental cues that most of us just filter out. The result is a conclusion that feels like it came from nowhere because it's based on a massive amount of data processed way faster than our conscious minds can track. So think of these as two really different paths to a similar kind of extraordinary experience. On one side, you've got epilepsy, where this internal storm of hypersynchrony can generate these profound internally created experiences, like visions. And on the other side, you have some autistic profiles, where an enhanced ability to spot patterns can generate profound insights from external data, like predicting how a situation will play out with uncanny accuracy. Two different brain states, but both can lead to experiences that feel, well, out of this world. But here's the thing. It's not just specific neurological conditions that can unlock these states. Turns out any brain, your brain, my brain, can be pushed into a state where perception fundamentally changes, if the pressure is right. Think about it.
Severe stress or grief completely changes our brain chemistry. Deep meditation has been shown to quiet down the part of our brain tied to our sense of self, heightening our awareness. Intense exercise can flood our system with chemicals that create euphoria. And if you take away sensory input, like in a sensory deprivation tank, the brain doesn't just go quiet. Heck no, it starts generating its own reality.
Let's take a moment of sudden danger. Your brain instantly kicks into survival mode. It's a state called perceptual narrowing. It's this amazing adaptive trick where your attention becomes like a laser beam, hyper-focused on the threat, and all the non-essential stuff, background noise, what's in your peripheral vision, just gets filtered out. In that state, your brain is primed to notice the tiniest cues that signal danger, which could absolutely feel like a powerful, life-saving hunch.
So when we start connecting all these dots, the brain as a reality constructor, the clues we get from epilepsy and autism, the effects of these extreme states, a whole new framework starts to take shape, one that shifts the conversation away from magic and starts looking for the mechanism.
And with this framework, we can start to reinterpret these incredible phenomena in a new light. That premonition about the car accident, maybe it wasn't seeing the future, but your brain's predictive model running on a ton of subconscious data to make a really good forecast. That heightened intuition about a person, maybe not a sixth sense, but your internal pattern matching software running at lightning speed. And those visionary states, maybe they're not always messages from the outside, but can be profound experiences generated from the inside by altered brain activity.
This quote just nails it. The psychic experience might not be something extra that gets added to a normal brain. Instead, it could be something that just emerges when the brain's fundamental operating system, its internal wiring, gets reorganized. Whether that's from a chronic condition, a moment of intense stress, or even from deliberate practice. But, understanding these mechanisms isn't just a cool thought experiment. It opens up some unbelievable new avenues for research. But with that comes a huge, profound ethical responsibility. I mean, we're talking about exploring the very nature of someone's personal reality. That requires a whole new level of care. So any research in this area has to follow some really strict ground rules. It's not enough to just get someone's consent for a brain scan. You have to explain the potential for these really deep, subjective experiences. We've got to report findings responsibly, without hyping them up. And maybe most important of all, we have to respect that a person's lived experience is real for them, even as we try to understand the neurology behind it.
And that's really the key takeaway here. Giving something a neurological explanation doesn't devalue it. It doesn't make a profound vision or a life-saving gut feeling any less meaningful to the person who had it. It just gives us a different way to understand where it came from, a way that, honestly, celebrates the absolutely astonishing power of our own minds.
Which leaves us with this one final, really fascinating thought. We are just at the very beginning of mapping this inner space. If we can really understand the mechanisms that produce these extraordinary states, what could that mean for human potential, for creativity, for therapy, for how we understand consciousness itself? The journey is really just starting. And what we find could change everything we think we know about who we are.